Let us pray. Almighty God, the creator and ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all our actions so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria in general and Lagos State in particular. Amen. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. You are welcome to today's sitting. Excuse me. Let us go through the votes and proceedings of Thursday, 3rd June 2021. ojú ìwé òjìlélọ́ọ̀ọ́dúnrún. Ojú ìwé kọkànlélójìlélọ́ọ̀ọ́dúnrún.
Akásán olùdarí, mo tọrọ àyè ní àsìkò tó kọjá, wọ́n dẹ̀ forúkọ mi sí pé mi wá síbi iṣẹ́.
Bá a ṣàtúnṣe. Ojú ìwé kejìlélójìlélọ́ọ̀ọ́dúnrún. Ojú ìwé kẹtàlélójìlélọ́ọ̀ọ́dúnrún. I have examined the fruits and proceedings of Thursday, 3rd June 2021 and approval is here granted. Any message from the governor?
Right Honorable Speaker, sir. Distinguished honorable members, there is no message from the governor.
Any other announcements?
Yes, sir. There is an announcement, sir. The House Committee on Establishment, Training, Pensions and Public Service is having a public hearing on a bill for a law to repeal the law to provide for the payment of pensions and other fringe benefits to public office holders in Lagos State and for other connected matters on Friday, 11th June 2021 at the House Pavilion by 10 a.m. By this notice, inviting every honorable members and staff to that public hearing, sir. Signed by the chairman of the committee, Honorable Ogundimu. Thank you very much, sir.
Petitions?
None, sir.
Matter of urgent public importance? None. Personal explanations? None. Reports? None. Majority Leader.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. We have listed on the other paper today 2 bills slated for second reading. The first, Mr. Speaker, is Victim Assistance and Witness Protection Bill 2021. I crave indulgence to move that the bill, Victim Assistance and Witness Protection Bill, be read for the second time. I so move.
Honorable Oluwa.
Speaker, I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against no, the ayes have it. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. Distinguished honorable members, it is a great honor and privilege to read for the second time a bill for a law to provide for the rights and entitlements of victims and protection of witnesses and for other connected purposes. Thank you very much.
Honorable Tutor from the Judiciary.
The bill is 56 sections, and the bill is talking about the protection of victims and for compensation. Section 3 of that bill talks about the establishment of the Victims Assistance and Witnesses Protection Agency. While the Section 4 of that bill talks about the right and entitlement of the victims, and equally the Section 5 talks about the power of the agency. All in all, is just for us to be able to protect the victims and to come to their aids at when due, and also to provide for the victims any assistance without any fear or hindrances of the victim. That's all I have to say, sir. Thank you.
Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague, good afternoon. Mr. Speaker, my colleague, basically the bill talks about protection of victims and assistance to the victim and protection of the witness. If you look at what is happening all over the world, especially in Nigeria today and in Lagos State, issues are borders on victimization, issues are borders on abduction, kidnapping, and the likes. Basically, we lay credence to the fact that we need this law that actually is supposed to protect the yearnings, aspirations of people. A lot of people in Lagos today are suffering from victimization. There are borders on other issues on kidnapping, abduction, and the likes. And for the past years, nobody has come to address and be able to compensate them and probably give them the right entitlement. Even for those that perpetuated such crimes, what has happened to them? This bill is very, very apt in terms of the fact that if some people suffered a loss through victimization, probably they lost their properties, probably the witness cannot be protected. This bill is talking about establishment of an agency that will look into that. And part of the function of the agency is basically to be able to secure the rights and privileges of those that suffered such victimization. In addition to that, he talked again about child's rights and entitlement. It's not limited to only the adults. The children too, because they are vulnerable, they are sensitive. When they have issue of victimization and it has to be treated, obviously those children will be protected, will be taken care of because they are sensitive. And the same thing with the witnesses. Mr. Speaker, the bill talks about giving back to humanity in terms of dignity, in terms of treatment, in terms of equity, in terms of justice, and in terms of protection of their lives and property, in tandem with Section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution, National Constitution as amended. This bill is for everybody, is for the poor, is for the less privileged who are seeking justice. A lot of people in Lagos have suffered a lot of victimization. A lot of them, their property has been seized. A lot of them, they are still not coming to terms with the fact that they are human beings and they're supposed to be treated. My colleagues, I will want to seek your support at ensuring that this bill is given all the necessary attention and support so that it can scale through this stage. Thank you, sir.
Honorable TOBUN.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, my distinguished colleague, this bill, I think, is coming at the right time when the interests of our people are most paramount to our peaceful coexistence, and especially for those who feel, cheated and they feel they need to seek redress, and for those witnesses who are going to testify against perpetrators of this heinous act. How will they protect them? I think this bill is coming, and when you look at the function of the bill, there are some areas that really interest me. Those areas where the victims were fully protected. Those areas where people get informed education of those who must know that there's a bill that protects their rights, and there is a bill that protects witness. And in most cases, when you disclose what you know about issues, it comes back to you, you suffer for it most. But in this context, this bill seems to protect you. And in this bill too, there's a board that's established, that's going to be established, that's going to regulate and formulate policy for the agency to operate. So the agency were not just given a blank field to operate.
without necessarily being guided or being protected by the board. But the area I want us to look at is where we select the board, because in the board selection, you get recommendation from the judiciary to the governor for approval. I feel it must be subjected to the ratification of this House, so that those who are going to be the board chairman and board member must be known by members of the public, and the representative members of the public are in the parliament. So it's my own opinion that when they recommend to the governor, the board must come to the House for ratification before they are approved. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable JIMOH.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Good afternoon, colleagues. Well, the bill is very apt. As you all know, the bill is coming to strengthen the criminal jurisprudence of the state. You all know that the criminal law of Lagos State does not specify some certain things that the bill expresses. So if this bill eventually comes into law, it will further strengthening the law of the state. And criminal jurisprudence everywhere in the world is a domestic affairs. I will only, if eventually committed to committee, I will only urge the committee to put side by side with the criminal law of the state, so that there won't be a conflict of interpretation and interest on the case.
Honorable SAHEED.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues. I think this bill is a panacea to what is actually happening around the country now and all over the world. If you look at this bill, this is a comprehensive bill that has been able to act in line with international directive. New Zealand, America, Australia has identified this kind of bill, and it has now protected the victim. But in Nigeria, the establishment of this victim assistance agency will really enact and energize our justice system in a way that victim can come up forward and be compensated, even with the way we've been having it in Nigeria before that. When you have an accident on the road, somebody will not be there to help. This is a bill that has provided for every citizens of this state in way of compensation, in way of refereeism, in case of even victim privacy protection is taken care in this house. I want to enjoy honorable colleagues, distinguished colleagues in this house, to please let us give this bill the needed support so that we can move our state to the next level. Thank you.
Honorable
Mr. Speaker, I will start by saying that this bill is responsive. It is responsive because over time there has been clamor for lawyers in the criminal section of justice advocating that justice should not only be for the society, because criminal jurisprudence claims justice for the society. Where crime is prosecuted, it is prosecuted for the safety of the society. The victim most times is left empty-handed, and that is why people have been clamoring that if there is justice for the society, there must be justice for the victim, and that's why it will come about victims' rights. Though in the criminal law and criminal justice, there is restitution and there is compensation, but it is not so effective because the procedure for achieving that is not laid out. So this bill is coming to recognize the right of victims and also providing for procedure to get that rights under the law when this bill is actually passed. Mr. Speaker, up till this moment, when people have accidents, and they get to, or in case of emergency, they are hardly attended to by our hospitals unless there's police report. But this bill is trying to go over that to say that you can attend to such victim, and of course the bill for such can be recouped from a fund that is created by this, because this bill is creating victims' rights and Witness Protection Fund, you know, where people who are indigent and cannot cater for their bills in court under such conditions will be attended to, and such will be offset on their behalf, as well as people whose relations are not easy to locate at the time of the emergency or victim. So, Mr. Speaker, the bill creates a fund, the bill creates an agency, the bill creates a board, the bill creates the Director General, and the relationship, the functions of the board and the rest of it, to be sure that there is improvement in the administration of criminal justice in Lagos State. It is responsive because these are some of the things that are affecting. Most times when there are criminal cases, witnesses don't go to court to give evidence because they are afraid of their life, afraid of their property, and afraid of a kind of attack on them. But this bill is coming to protect them also when they go out to do this. As a result of witnesses not going to court to give witnesses, a lot of criminal cases become so protracted, and at the end of the day, is that the judge is transferred or the RPO is transferred, and of course, justice is compromised. So I see this bill as coming to attend to so many lapses in the administration of criminal justice in Lagos State, and that will mean that our society will be more strengthened to do justice as far as crime and criminal is concerned. Mr. Speaker, I see it as a very good bill. Like other person who has spoken before me have attested, it's a very good bill that should enjoy the favor of the House in terms of speedy consideration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable SETONJI.
Thank you very much, sir. The right Honorable Speaker. This bill is very, very important and essential, especially at this level of our development. Any bill that will support or encourage fundamental human rights is a bill that we must always support. And in this particular case, this bill is out to protect the interests of average, even the common man, when it has to do with the issues mentioned in this bill. The area that I also want to emphasize is that because of the importance of this bill, members of the board must be subjected to the approval of this House, which is not especially stated in this bill. I think that is very important too. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my colleagues. I will align with my other colleagues to say that the bill is very, very apt, it's very, very germane, a bill that sets to have Lagos State Victim Assistance and Witnesses Protection Agency is very, very apt when we bear in mind that our victims of all these kind of problem that they have been subjected to a lot of harassment. So this bill seeks to protect the witness. And if we look at the various outlines that we have here, it has really stated the duties of various bodies. It has stated the rights of victims and witnesses, and the agencies that we are setting up, the head of the agency, which is the Director General, as well as the duties of all the staff have been stated there. I align with the bill, sir. Thanks so much, sir.
I want to thank you all for your contributions, and I quite agree with you. This is a very good bill, and it is a bill for the society. It is a bill that has come to aid our administration of criminal justice, as rightly being observed by the majority leader, where protection is being given to the witness. And most times, criminals get away with crime just because no one is willing to come outside to witness against them. But this bill has come to give assurance to be witness that such person will do with the support from the government and with protection, that such person can come out and stand to give evidence against whosoever that happens to have committed crime. In the same vein, protection of victims. Most times when justice has been served, the victims most times are left with nothing. And I think this bill has come to patch up that hole where anybody that suffers either, particularly when you talk about our traffic system in Lagos State, I mean, in the form of transportation, most of motorists, what they do is to have third party only. And that third party at times does not work. Doesn't work. And the victim most time bears the problem. And I think this bill will address that, where protection for such person, either on traffic matter and another related issue, can be well compensated, and those who are in position to give witness can also come out boldly, and by doing this, it will ensure eradication of crime within our society. So I quite agree with all of you that there is a bill that we should all give necessary support. On this note, this bill is hereby committed to House Committee on Judiciary to report back in 2 weeks. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the next item on the other paper is in respect of Lagos State Pension Reforms Amendment Bill 2021. I crave indulgence to move that this Lagos State Pension Reform Amendment Bill 2021 be read for the second time. I so move.
Honorable Desmond.
Thank you, my right honorable speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, right honorable speaker, sir. Distinguished honorable members, it gives me great pleasure and honor to read for the second time a bill for a law to amend the Lagos State Pension Reform Law Cap L52, Laws of Lagos State 2015, and Cap C136, Amendment of 2018. Thank you very much, sir.
Honorable Ogundimu.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and good afternoon, my colleague. Well, this bill is just an amendment on the pension bill of Lagos State that has been in existence since 2015, and there are key areas that the amendment are really addressing, which has to do in conformity with the National Pension Act. And the one that is very basic among all is Section 8, that is actually talking about letter of confirmation of exit, which has to be issued 21 days period to the employee's retirement. This aspect has been a very major controversy in the issue of getting the retirement gratuity of employees. Most of the time, the letter is always needed, by the employees, but immediately they are out of service. To get the letter issued to them takes months, and this affects and delays the collection of their benefits. And the bill is trying to address that 21 days before the exit, the letter should be in place, so that you can be able to run around to get your letter before your retirement. This is very important. Also in section 24, the bill is also turning the non-executive directors of the commission into a part-time basis. Well, since they are representatives of various key organs of the government, ministries of the government, they are just doing their extension of service, which may not necessarily be taken as full-time again, and this will really go to the extent of saving cost. Also, in section 32F, the issue, the LASPEC as it is, the Lagos State Pension Commission, they are not in charge of licensing the pension administrators, and as such, it will be difficult for them to investigate them. So this aspect of section of the bill is only addressing the issue of if there are complaints or there are issues. Such complaints can be collated together and be sent down to the National Pension Commission for further investigation and adjudication. So that is the area that session is really talking about. It also go further in section 33F, to give the power to the LASPEC to be able to get information from the pension managers. This will give them the opportunity to be able, even though they cannot really investigate them, but they can get information from them. If there are complaints, there are issues, they can be able to get information from them and be able to know what the exact issues are and send to the appropriate bodies, that is National Pension Commission, for further decision to be made. Also in section 41, and the National Pension Act, gives the power to pension managers, that is PFA and CBN, to be in custody of the funds so collected, by the contributors. But the LASEC is seeking power to really deal directly with the pension managers alone in this section, so that they can be able to monitor them. It will be easy for them to monitor the funds, with the pension manager than to really go to CBN, where it will be difficult for them to manage or to monitor. The section 7(4) is actually needs to be balanced, because that section is seeking the power, the make provision, in terms of pension, with issue of professors, and slash it with the political appointees, where they smartly put it there that the letter of appointees, should indicate whatever their earnings are, and after their retirement, they can be collecting 100% of what is in their letter. But I think this place could be addressed properly, and it could be taken care of in the administration of pension in the state. Putting everything together, I still see it as a very good amendment if we put everything holistically and we look at it, and further work being done on it. I feel it will really strengthen the pension law as a whole. Thank you.
Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, thank you. Honorable OGUNDIMU, being the Chairman's Committee on Establishment, seems to have covered the field, except for me to do a bit of adumbration in respect of some of the things he has said. Mr. Speaker, I see as very key to this bill two major things. One is solving the seemingly overlap functions between the Lagos State LASPEC, Lagos State Pensions Commission, and the Federal Pension Commission. Mr. Speaker, some of the responsibility entrusted to Lagos State Pensions Commission appear to be in conflict with the responsibility of PENCOM, and that is why some of the terminologies, some of the words used will have to be whittled down. For instance, in section 23 that the chairman referred to, here it is seen that the issue to regulate is not within the purview of the Lagos State Pensions Commission, rather that of the National Pension Commission. So the issue of regulation there was beat down to say coordination. And so in some of the areas, it's just taking away some of the responsibilities of key responsibilities of the State Pension Commission, giving it back to the federal. But the most important thing mentioned by the chairman, Mr. Speaker, is that up and until now, a certificate of clearance is required from the day of retirement, 21 days from retirement. That means that after your retirement, that's when the issue of certificate of clearance must be released. But in this case, because of the technicality attached to the issue of the certificate being very cumbersome to get, it is now said that the certificate will no more apply. What we now need is letter instead of certificate, as being with the letter of clearance, and that must be 21 days before retirement. You can start to processing 21 days before retirement, so that at your retirement you might have gotten your letter of clearance, and that will aid the process of your pension being processed. Mr. Speaker, this is another responsive approach of Lagos State in solving societal problems for the welfare of the citizen, in that a lot of pensioners complain here and there, they cannot access their pension so easily. So the Lagos State government has looked into what are these technical issues, encumbering easy access to pension. And coming up with this, it is believed that if we are able to sort this through legislation, the process and procedure for accessing pensions, gratuity and the rest of it will be very easy. And of course, the pensioners can continue to smile from now. So, Mr. Speaker, I also support that. It's a very good bill that is coming to respond to the needs of the society, the needs of the citizens of Lagos State, those who have worked tenaciously for the government of Lagos State and due for retirement, to be able to get what is due to them as at when. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable TOBUN.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Well, I appreciate the content of these amendments in view of the fact that I remember when I retired, we have to start moving from one table to the other, especially to get the confirmation and approval.
Did you retire?
Yes, sir. I retired because when you work for government for 10 years, just for 10 years, and you have attained the age of 50, you can go on retirement. I worked for 21 years for government.
You retired or you cross over?
Well, all the above, sir. I retired and I cross over. So we're moving from one table to the other. And in this contest, you are no more in the service. It becomes so cumbersome. So in this contest now, where you get letter of exit from your employer, so that means they have allowed you to go. They were sending it to the appropriate authority for processing. Not until when you get retired, then you start moving from pillar to pole. The issue of contributing pension, where you contribute money to the scheme, then it becomes so difficult, especially when you are a sitting mortgagee with the government. So how do you now pay? So this law has provided for it that at least you will be they will be able to pay for you even when you are not there. The issue of the LSHA to control the pension administrator, when we're in the system, they brought so many of them and without proper guidelines. So we move into it that okay, this pension come, but now the LSHA has been empowered to regulate the activities within the system. So this law is very apt, and I believe it will assist the civil servant, at least those who are still there, so that when they leave, they get their pension with ease, so that it will not be coming back today, coming back tomorrow, and some of them dying in the course of it without getting their pension. And it will make them to be more dutiful, especially when they look at this law, that it has protected them. So, Mr. Speaker, this law is very apt and it's very, very important to Lagos State. Thank you very much, sir.
Honorable ABIRU.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Fellow members, good afternoon. In also adding my voice to this bill, I think it's a very important one. It is an amendment that is is meant to make life easier for retirees from service. Like said, to now, we appreciate the challenge that pensioners are actually usually faced with when it comes to collecting their pension. And with the provision of the letter of confirmation of exit, I think this will go in a long way in making life easy for them outside of service. Apart from that, the government is also desirous to cut down on the cost of governance, and by so doing, they are proposing that the executive committee, that is the board, should operate on a part-time basis, and I think it's also a very good one. Beyond that, the bill sought to bring into conformity the functions of Lagos State Pension Commission and that of the Pension Commission, National Pension Commission. While doing that also, they also try to not to lose absolute control over the pension funds manager and the administrators, in that they also sought to protect, you know, the pensioners from these managers, so that the activities can actually be looked into to ensure, so as to ensure that pensioners get what is due to them in good time. I think it's a very good one, and I want all my colleagues to support it. Thank you very much, sir.
Honorable SAHEED.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think this bill suggests the more reason why we have been voted to represent over 25 million population of Lagos State, because this is a bill that is going to set Lagos State as a center of excellence when this amendment is being carried out. Number one, this is a bill that talks so much about pool of fund, because when you have PFAs that have fund, that can pool fund, it means more money is now going to be coming to the economy. It means there is going to be aggregate of fund that will be further used or borrowed as at when the case arises. Another one, giving a letter of clearance after 21 days of leaving office. It shows that there is transparency. It shows that the data system of most of these pensioners or civil servants are in order, which is going to enact the Civil Service Commission and pension scheme in a way that synergy is going to be established. Another thing that this bill has been able to do, if this amendment is taken into consideration, is the issue of the National Pension Commission, which is NICOM, being the command control of what is in order. Accurate database is going to be enshrined, because this is a bill that will now make the administration of pension schemes in Lagos State look seamless. More so, this is a bill that will now save and reduce cost of governance, because most of these, the boards on the board of this pension scheme in Lagos State are going to be put on part-time basis. So this is a bill that most of the Lagosians have been waiting for, and I think my colleagues will support this bill so that we can address the issue of pension in Lagos State. Thank you very much.
One lastly, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for allowing me to speak on this. Mr. Speaker, all the observations and recommendations of my colleagues are well taken care of and are actually adopted. But in addition to that, we should be wary of the fact that all these fund administrators, pension fund administrators, are not licensed by Lagos State Pension Commission. So there's going to be a lacuna between Lagos State Pension Commission, the fund administrator, and National Pension Commission. So that's why I'm in love with Section 32F of the amendment, which says that the State Pension Commission will coordinate all the improprieties and observe abnormalities of the trust fund administrators and take to National Pension Commission. I think there's supposed to be a nexus between the three in such a manner that the Lagos State Pension Commission will be up to the scale and ensure that money gathered through the state, especially when one of our colleagues is there, and he has served for 21 years and is a retiree. There's a need for us to protect. So I will want that to happen between National Pension Commission, the State Pension Commission, and the fund administrator in such a manner that the money will be made available to our retirees when available. Thank you. It's a good bill that we must appreciate and allow to scale through the committee stage. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I also agree with you. This is a very good one, because our issue of pension has become a very disturbing one in the state. I'm sure each one of us has a retiree that has been complaining about inability to access their retirement benefits. It goes beyond about 21 days notice and all sorts. I think we should address this bill beyond the amendment being brought. We should throw it open and give total overhauling to this bill in such manner that we address those who have backlog. You know, if you are aware, you know, the one is old, what is it called? Old scheme, and the new scheme is very complicated, and this state has been doing a lot. I think this should be about the third time we'll be addressing the issue of pension through law. So we should take this opportunity to give it a global look and address whatever shortcomings we have noticed in this bill. Allow those retirees that have been denied that opportunity of accessing their benefit to come to be part of it, and the professionals along this line also to come on board to tell us what to be done so that we can have a perfect law on this matter and have a lasting solution on this law. This bill is hereby committed to House Committee on Establishment to report back in 2 weeks. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we are accomplished for the day, having dealt with all the items on the other paper. Mr. Speaker, tomorrow, my dear colleagues, tomorrow is the Climate Change Day, which is a universal program. Lagos State will be hosting the Climate Change Summit tomorrow, and we have all been invited. In view of that, I have the permission of Mr. Speaker to move that the House adjourns till Thursday, the 10th day of this month at 10 o'clock. I so move.
Honorable Council.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against no. The ayes have it. There will be a short meeting immediately after. This House stands adjourned to Thursday 10/2021 at 10 a.m. prompt. I rise.